good, y'all? It's Brian Man. So we're back again with another video. This is going to be kind of more of a regular schmegular one-on-one talking type of video. You know what I'm saying? Instead of a typical reaction. So for the people that want to watch, let's tune in, locked in. If you don't, you know, hey man, watch all the other videos. I got a plethora of videos you can watch. You know what I'm saying? It pass your time by because a lot of y'all ain't seen them. Anyway, I kind of saw people talking about kind of like, you know, my wrestling fans out there, you know, I seen people talking about WWE and kind of how, well, I need to put some on my forehead, I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, how WWE was in 2025, and I feel like I did want to join in on the conversation and kind of how I felt about it. Because I sometimes talk about things like off camera and be like, you know, because that's how you kind of think of video ideas, is like you kind of think out loud and stuff you could do and stuff like that. But anyway, beside the point, yeah. WWE in 2025, I do think is not the best that it could have been at all. I'm not going to say it was like the worst year ever or like, terrible year. But I would definitely say it was a not good year. I wouldn't say like terrible, but I would definitely say a not good year. And let's explain. Well, first of all, this is kind of ironic considering the fact that we're talking about John Cena here, man. Like, we talking about last year of John Cena. You thinking like, man, last year one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT, how the hell do y'all this up? And apparently they said, oh, we'll tell you how. You know, Triple H, oh, we'll tell you how we're going to fuck it up. And anyway, so it's just crazy to think, one, that we're all, actually, it's going to show you time waits for no man, because we're really at the end of 2025. And the fact that I'm about to see John Cena retire, I don't know how emotionally I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Those who don't know, childhood hero of mine for sure. He was my favorite wrestler when I was a kid. He was probably my first favorite wrestler. Like my first time that I actually said, hey, that guy's my favorite wrestler. So grew up on him in that 2011, 2012 time. And, you know, freaking love the guy, man. You know, I was definitely one of the John Cena kids, if you will. But anyway, say all that to say, it's going to be tough seeing him retire. It is confirmed that Gunther, will be his last match, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion and a two-time World Heavyweight Champion. You know what I'm saying? He'll retire two legends, man. He retired Goldberg earlier this year. And now he retires John Cena. That's just crazy to think that they gave him both. You know what I'm saying? Some people say he should just go on a tear of just retiring legends, but I don't think that's fair. I feel like you should spread the love to other talents. Like some people, what if he retires AJ next year? Not that that match shouldn't happen. That would be a great match. I don't think that should be AJ Styles' last match, especially if he has his last match at like a WrestleMania or something. I do think you should reserve that for a young talent like a Carmelo Hayes or somebody like that who could benefit off of having that on your record of AJ Styles, like I retired him or whatever. Like, whether that be a heel or even a babyface, you know, they could be a heel or babyface, like getting that moment. And Gunther, especially with him getting to probably most likely beat John Cena this year, I wouldn't have that happen. But anyway, we know Cena's going to probably want to get the guy over on the way out because he's the next one up and the next one that, or the current guy that everyone's talking about. So I can understand that. But that being said, considering Gunther's going to probably beat John Cena, I mean, that's beating and retiring two legends in the same year. So I think we need to spread the love over to the other talents who need something to validate them as a superstar of this generation or in the next up-and-coming generation. So I would give that to somebody else. But anyway, it's just one of those situations where I feel like in 2025, WWE kind of had something, you know. I would say the bright stuff first. The bright parts of the whole thing with like 2025 is it started off really fun, honestly. You know, you had the Netflix debut, which, yes, geared away from certain stories because they were kind of making it more of the whole big premiere, right? Hulk Hogan, rest in peace to him. You know, he came out there and got booed. The Rock came out there and got the crowd going, but the problem was he wasn't being the final boss Rock. He was being more Dwayne. Y'all saying my guy Dwayne Johnson, the Rock, boy. Yeah, that's my guy. But he definitely was not coming on as the people's champion and the Rock. He was definitely coming out there more as Dwayne, being the big name to help promote the WWE and all off this new era and stuff like that. And it led to nothing. You know, like when he came out there, he gave Cody his props for holding down the company. And then he also gave Roman the Ulafala. Like, we thought that was going to lead to something. Okay, he's coming out there after Roman had beat Solo for the Ulafala. You thought, like, oh, shoot, Rock comes out there and he's, putting the Ulafala. You thought that was going to maybe lead to something. That led to nothing. He kind of deaded the stuff with Cody Rhodes. And then they kind of brought back the stuff with Cody Rhodes. Oh, and, you know, obviously John Cena coming out there talking about winning the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. And then, you know, we had the Royal Rumble and Jay won the Royal Rumble, which I was very indifferent to. Like, I like Jay, but I was one of those people that kind of felt like there were other stars like a John Cena or a CM Punk that just were, like, more over than he was. But I get wanting to build somebody else, but I just felt those guys were more people that, like, more or less wanted to see, right? Like, CM Punk and Cody, we still haven't gotten that match. And, you know, John Cena, Cody is obviously, you know, a dream match now. I mean, before, you know, he had faced Cody when he was young and blah, blah, blah. But now that Cody's completely different, that's actually a big match. And they ended up doing that, but they had John Cena win the Chamber. And now thinking about it, it makes sense that John won the Chamber because he was going to wrestle at every PLE pretty much throughout his retirement tour. So it makes sense that he would actually have wrestled at Elimination Chamber. And I guess you could say it kind of fits his character having to earn it, right, through everybody in the Chamber and stuff like that. But then we got to the Chamber, like I just said, where he won. Travis Scott came out there. It was cool hearing Fiend. Obviously, it was the song for WrestleMania 41, but it was cool hearing Fiend. But then it was like, you know, then we saw what we led to, and it's like, oh, okay. But anyway, The Rock comes out there, you know, now he's back to being the final boss because the whole thing was like, you know, Cody selling his soul. And then The Rock ends up turning, you know, Cena ends up turning heel and aligning himself with The Rock, which was a great moment, great pop, all that stuff. And then he does a great heel promo, like, you know, blaming the fans, which he would make more sense of saying, because, you know, a lot of people say the you people promo where you always say it's the people's fault. But he actually did it in a way that came off a lot more like legitimate and reasoning and stuff like that. Then the build up with Cody was kind of up and down because there were times, like, well, you remember that like first 2 weeks where like John had said nothing to Cody because they wanted to build up to that one promo confrontation where they actually have the verbal battle, and that was great. So Cena's first heel promo and the promo back and forth he did with Cody was great. But we were all asking, like, where's The Rock in all this? Like, you know, he hadn't been mentioned. Rock hadn't shown up at least once to kind of explain their partnership. Then we got to WrestleMania 41, and it wasn't a good match, you know, with Cody and Cena. It wasn't bad when it was just as it was happening. It wasn't bad, but it just kind of was missing something to really give it life. And then they did what they did. They had Travis come out there after he had slapped up Cody at the Chamber. Cody hits the crossroads on Travis. And then Cena, I think, hits Cody with a low blow, and that's how he won the 17th World Championship, which was always a great moment. But when you look at what led up to that moment, it's like, damn, like that Travis Scott, right? Like, that's how we get world title number 17. So The Rock being completely absent from this heel turn, at least for the first part, right? If he would have, it would have been different if he left after WrestleMania. But the man left after the heel turn. Not even like, okay, after WrestleMania where he gets the big moment. Like, no, my man's left when the heel turn happened, rather than, okay, be here to establish the heel turn for the first quarter, then you can leap on up out of here and let Cena do his thing. But yeah, anyway, the lack of logic, those logic gaps and stuff like that is really what messed up the heel turn initially. Then there was still some fun moments, like he had some nice back and forths with Randy Orton. Obviously, CM Punk was the best feud of the whole heel run, obviously, especially with the reverse pipe bomb that Cena did and Punk coming out with Thugonomics. That was all cool. Only thing I was wishing from that feud, bro, is I wish they would have had one promo back and forth, like where they literally do what they do, right? Verbally joust back and forth and cook each other. I love those promo segments. Those are probably my favorite ones because it really, to me, is the real test to see who can talk on the mic, because it's like who can come up with the better material, who can come up with the harder hitting lines and roast. I personally like those the best when it comes to build. As long as there's a story, you have to do it with a story. You can't just, you know, you're this, you're that. No, you have to make a story out of it first. Then they can start verbally jabbing each other. So yeah, obviously it has to be wrapped up into a story, not just guys randomly taking shots at each other. But anyway, that was fun. Like I said, reverse pipe bomb, you know, seeing Truth come back when they fired him, that was a nice moment. So these, like, the heel turn had nice moments, but overall, as a run, and Cena even said it himself, like, it was kind of weird for the fans to see him as a heel, and it's not what they wanted, because it being his last year, and also the fans cheering him for the last 5 years, heel turn obviously was great. But the follow-up, especially with the lack of continuity and story with The Rock being tied into that and him just being absent to really explain the whole reasoning of why they're together, you know, the reason for the why just had nothing to do with The Rock, even though he was a massive part of the heel turn. But anyway, but nonetheless, John Cena being a heel, I just felt And Cena, like I said to himself, like it needed a full year to really sit in. Like it was like not gonna work with it being like a limited date type of situation where like this is his last year. It's not like, oh, I have a limited date for this year, but I'm retiring next year. It was like, no, this is like everything. Limited dates, and this is my last year wrestling. So that really kind of fucked it up too with him not having as many appearances. And even he like said it on a recent podcast, I think yesterday, where yesterday or like the day before that, something like that, about how the heel turn really needed a full year to set in to really even work. But we know Cena's been playing the role of team player, so he's not gonna complain about these type of things. If they want him to be heel, he'll be a heel. But anyway, I just felt the heel run was not enough to justify. It was good moments in the heel run. I don't always be just going to completely just, crap all over it and say it was terrible. But I do feel like it would have been better if they would have kept him as a babyface. Mainly because him turning heel didn't really fit, especially when this guy's a big-time superstar legend who's retiring. Nobody wants to boo a superstar legend that they respect like John Cena. Nobody wants to boo a guy like that. In his last year, like, no one's going to boo him. Like, back in the day, in, 2012... funny enough, when I was growing up on him, that would have made most sense to turn him heel because that would have been fresh on the fans booing the fuck out of him. So heel run would have definitely worked way better back then. But I can understand them going, we kind of want to get this thing out the way so that But so some could say maybe they shouldn't have turned Cena heel, or just maybe if The Rock would have been there to fill up those logic holes that it was needed to be filled. Maybe the heel run would have been looked at a little differently. There's a lot of things, especially with them doing a tag match at Money in the Bank, even though that was kind of fun towards the other half of the second half of it. Doing a tag match at Money in the Bank rather than doing, Cena and Punk, where that was like their most infamous match, is kind of it was a lot of stuff that just was what the fuck. But anyway, there was good stuff, I will say, with like Punk and Seth, but even then I felt that kind of got ran into the ground. Like, it started great with the Netflix debut. They had a great cage match in MSG, fantastic build, and a 5-star match at WrestleMania 41. They kind of kept their feud alive when Cena and Punk went in at Night of Champions, which was another fun, good match. He had the only bad match in the heel run really was the ones with R-Truth and the ones with and the one he had with Cody at WrestleMania. Obviously a 5-star match at SummerSlam, but the only bad match he had as a heel was the WrestleMania 41 match and the matches he had with Truth, just because they didn't go that long and it didn't really lead to a whole lot. But everything else was actually like delivered fine. So for people making it seem like Cena was just like this awful in-ring wrestler this year, I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Because a lot of people were thinking like because he was a heel, maybe that's it takes away from his matches. I will say though, as a babyface, he does have more life to him. Like, it was fun. That was a really fun match that he had with Dominic, a 5-star match he had with AJ Styles. Like, more of his, 5-star quality matches definitely was when he turned back face, which was kind of, even that, right, had no explanation. It just kind of happened, Cody, you put me through a table, and all of a sudden that knocked some sense into me, Anyway, it's the creative. But anyway, but like I said, the Punk and Seth stuff, back to that, that was low-key kind of getting dragged to me, but I think they did a good job at times reinvesting you into it, especially with AJ Lee coming back and them doing that mixed tag. That was one of those moments where I was like, okay, that's a good job of them, re-energizing this feud. And, obviously Seth cashed in on them at SummerSlam. So that was good stuff, no doubt, with the Seth Punk stuff. But I will say it did, to me, at times kind of dragged. I wouldn't say boring, but, it kind of dragged, damn, how long are we going to do, Punk and Seth? I mean, these guys have had a fatal 4-way at Clash in Paris. First match on Netflix, the main event match on Netflix. They had the MSG cage match. Like I said, Seth cashed in on them at SummerSlam. They had that fatal 4-way at Clash in Paris. They had a mixed tag match at WrestlePalooza, which even that wasn't looked at as a good pay-per-view. And Survivor Series wasn't looked at as a good PLE either, because it was half the show was good, half of it was bad. The Women's War Games match didn't deliver. The Men's War Games match was fun. John Cena Dominic was a fun match, especially with the Liv Morgan return, which is great. Always been a fan of Liv Morgan, for those who don't know, since 2022. I think she had that match with Becky Lynch at day one, and I started going, okay, I really starting to see the potential and shit. So it's always been great seeing her improve every single year. But anyway, yeah, man, and Survivor Series wasn't looked at. I mean, it was probably better than WrestlePalooza, but it was not looked at well either. And it's almost like their PLE since moving to ESPN has really been like kind of not favored too much by the crowd. but you know, but basically I said what I say. So with 2025, it's just SmackDown has been the biggest letdown, like for sure. Like it's been boring. And a lot of that is because there's not a lot of top stars on SmackDown. Like I'm glad they're actually trying to establish people like Ilya, like Jacob before he unfortunately had to, you know, go out for some type of non-wrestling related injury. And Carmelo's even gotten more over. Like he was getting his name chanted last night. That was dope to see. So at least they're kind of trying a little something, getting more people over. But as it stands, you know, we don't know where Randy's at. We still have not pulled the trigger on all these teases of Randy and Cody. We still haven't done this damn match. And the funny thing is, we have actually done this match at King of the Ring, but we've yet to do it for the WWE Championship. So it seems like we haven't even done the match. Even though they were in the King of the Ring final together, it still feels like they haven't done this match. And yeah, man, it's just they got to do that match, pull the trigger on that. Reports are saying they're going to go Cody Roman 3 at Mania, and I don't want to see that. It's just there's no juice left of that story, specifically for a WrestleMania. Maybe if it was a different PLE, like a SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, something, you know, different, sure. Royal Rumble, maybe. But, like, I'm not a fan of doing that for, like, a WrestleMania. And considering they're already going to do Braun Breaker, Punk, which I wouldn't mind if Breaker won that. I would want Punk to win it just because I kind of want Punk to have more of a real title reign because he's still yet to defend that belt. So they teased something with him and Logan, and then remember that went right into the Survivor Series. So he still actually hasn't had a program yet. So, but shout out to Braun Breaker cutting that great promo this past week. Hopefully it continues to build the match that they're going to have for the first Raw of 2026 next year. Hopefully Punk does a great, which we expect it because it's Punk, but you know, hopefully he does a great promo response to that next week or whatever time we see Punk. Hopefully that match gets a lot of juice, a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff to it, and that should be a fun match for sure. CM Punk and Braun Breaker. Some people thought maybe that was going to be a Mania. I did kind of thought they were going that direction. But maybe we're doing CM Punk Roman at Mania. No, that's still a match we haven't done. We got a triple threat out of it, but we still haven't done that one-on-one match and feud. So I could wholeheartedly see that at Mania. You know, if it was my way, I'm doing Cody Randy at Mania and make that like a 3-match feud, right? Orton being a heel, obviously. And I do like a Punk Roman match. Now that does kind of leave you kind of going, what do they do with Breaker at that point? Because he would have to face some top level superstar. Could be, if Seth were to make it before Mania, that would be perfect. Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania next year would be perfect. If Seth can come back in time, which he would obviously have to be a babyface coming out of that because of, you know, his group turned on him. But anyway, that was another thing too. Like when Braun turned on Seth, it was like, oh, cool moment, you know, because Seth was injured, right? Cool moment, but like they didn't really follow up on it when you think about it, because coming out of that, they didn't even have Braun Breaker. Like, you know that great promo we got from Braun Breaker talking his ish on CM Punk and Seth in that promo? That's what he should have been doing coming out of the heel turn the next week. Like, but they just had Braun be a mute, you know, and had Paul Heyman say a little something, and that was it. So they definitely should have followed up on that heel turn way better. With the great promo we got, that's probably the promo we should have gotten when he turned on Seth. You know, that would have been fresh off an angle like that. But anyway, that like little things like that, like in 2025, that we definitely should have done. I'm not gonna say it was a terrible year, but it definitely was not a good year at all. Because, like I said, even though we got some fun moments, like I said, AJ Lee coming back and doing that mixed tag match was fun. The men's War Games match this year was fun. And, you know, some of the stuff that John Cena did on promos as a heel was nice. But him as a babyface has shown so much more life. I mean, we got a great match with Cody, a great match with AJ, a very fun match with Dominic. I mean, imagine if we were getting these big face matches all year. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing with that is, like, when you think about it, we're getting all in him winning the Intercontinental Championship, finally becoming a Grand Slam champion. Like, imagine if we were getting these babyface moments with John Cena on all the PLEs earlier in the year, rather than waiting to like the last minute. Because now, like I said, he's going to face Gunther, who I'm still fine with that. It would have been cool if it was somewhere else, but I'm actually still fine with it being Gunther, considering Gunther's the perfect antagonist. And you can obviously tell that they want him to have the best match he can have as his last match, and nobody is better to do that job than Gunther to give a great match. But nonetheless, we'll see how that goes next week. And yeah, man, it's just 2025, like I said, SmackDown being boring and not really having any stars past like what Cody and Drew. That's really it. Other people are over like Jacob and you know, but like I said, we haven't been seeing Randy Orton lately for some reason. And on the women's division, it's very empty with that division too. And that's another thing, right? That, like, the women haven't really gotten a lot when you think about it either. Like, you know, with Charlotte Flair, even though the Evolution pay-per-view was great, and the triple threat with Rhea, Bianca, and Io at WrestleMania was great. Like, the women's Evolution pay-per-view was fantastic, or PLE was fantastic. Naomi was doing, you know, unfortunately, her great run that she was going on, Naomi, unfortunately was cut short, but for good reasoning. But it just is unfortunate. She's killing it, and then, you know, she has to unfortunately go. But it's for, like I said, good reason. You know, she's having a kid, so that's obviously fantastic for her. Congratulations to that. But nonetheless, like I say, good moments this year. Like I said, Naomi doing great. Like, it was good moments this year for sure. Stephanie McMahon becoming champion. Like, great moments for sure throughout this year. But I just think it's just with the boring SmackDown and Cody kind of being stagnant with the whole, like, him just not, and people like Drew not becoming world champ, and Cody just kind of feeling stagnant as champion specifically, just not feeling like Cody needs to be champion right now. And because, you know, he has a lack of opponents. You know, he doesn't have a lot of heels to face. He's only been doing, you know, matches with Drew McIntyre, and that's it since he's won the championship, you know. So there's that. The awful God-done stuff they did at WrestlePalooza with Brock and John, like, that just really fucked up that first ever PLE on ESPN. That really fucked it up to me. That whole PLE was fucked up from just that alone. John comes out with all the kids and all this stuff, and then he loses to Brock again after y'all already lost with him with the whole Suplex City thing. You would have thought that would have been like, with no build, by the way. That match had no build except for some promo packages. You would have thought that would have at least been the story of, okay, Cena's redemption from Suplex City, but nope, had Brock beat him again. You know, just stuff like that. Like, it's just what, to me, just messed up this year. Not a lot of good decisions. Stories needed to be a lot better, especially with this Judgment Day thing and them teasing their breakup, and then they're not breaking up, and stuff with Austin Theory. Hopefully he's going to join the Vision. It's been cool seeing Logan Paul in it. He fits the group well. Austin Theory hopefully is the masked man to help really propel his career from the way they fucked up his shit. But yeah, and the Austin Theory thing, when the Grayson Waller, them never pulling the trigger on that, when Austin Theory was actually starting to get over as a babyface. Like, it's a lot of stuff this year that's just them cutting off Goldberg short in his retirement speech. It just a lot of bad this year. Good moments, good matches this year, but like overall as a whole this year has not been worth our time, like as far as the television quality. So hopefully next year in 2026 we improve. And that's the good thing about WWE. They have WrestleMania. They have the Royal Rumble. These are things that automatically give their product life, that give them a chance to do better than what they did last year, because they have the big thing in the Royal Rumble and the Super Bowl of wrestling and WrestleMania. So they have, luckily, these things that automatically reignite their product every year, where the casual fans come in to see, because, you know, they, if nothing else, they know the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So that's how these casual fans end up coming in to kind of see if they should be watching wrestling, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, love, appreciate you guys. Y'all let me know down below if you're a wrestling fan, WWE fan. Let me know how you feel about this year and what you think could have been done better. But and then what I say it is what it's going to be is a certified prodigy to come out with the content of banks over and over again for you guys. Doing my thing and doing it well, and I should see you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe before you go. Turn that post notification bell so you know the second we drop a new video. That's all you need to know, and that's the vibe of the DJ song. You're going to like it as I see you in the next video, man.